Welcome back to the Sports Perspective TV viewers and subscribers. As always, thank you for tuning in. And if this is your first time coming across the channel or you haven't subscribed as yet, definitely hit that subscribe button. So in this video, we're going to be talking about reviewing the West Indies T20 World Cup, looking at the top run scorers and also the wicket takers as well. Also talking about the West Indies women team. They won their match against Sri Lanka in their second T20 match. So we're going to be giving you the details of that match as well. And also looking ahead to the semifinals of the T20 World Cup. The West Indies are out, but the World Cup is not done as yet. So I'm going to be previewing and also giving you my predictions as to what I think will happen in the matches. So just stick around to the end of the video while we discuss all of these things, right? So starting, I'll start with the match between West Indies and Sri Lanka. So the West Indies women team, they're currently touring Sri Lanka. And they've had a tired time so far. They lost the ODI series 3-0. Very disappointing, I would say. It was some pretty convincing victories by Sri Lanka. Captain Hayley Matthews, she did get injured in that series and I think she missed the last two matches of the ODI series. But nevertheless, it was still an impressive victories by the Sri Lankan team. The T20 series is going on now, and Sri Lanka won the first T20, and West Indies won the second T20, right? So scores in this second match that the West Indies won. Sri Lanka batting first. They were able to they got to 89 for 4, 15.2 overs. So it was a rain-affected match. So the overs were shortened. Leading the way with the ball for West Indies in this one was so Afi Fletcher. She took all 4 wickets. So she took 4 for 23 from 3.2 overs. So she was the only wicket taker in this innings. But the other bowlers bowled economical as well. So but Afi Fletcher was the only one that took any wickets, right? In the batting for Sri Lanka, Atupatu got 26 and Vishmi Gunaratne got 24. And Samawe Rama, she scored 14 as well. So they were the main scorers for the Sri Lankan team. West Indies in reply, they needed, so the score was revised. I'm not sure how this happened, but West Indies, even though Sri Lanka only scored 89 from 15 overs, apparently the West Indies needed 99 runs to win. I'm not sure how that happened, but the West Indies were able to get to 99 for 4 of their 14.1 overs, with Captain Hayley Matthews scoring 29, so she was the top scorer. Stephanie Taylor, she was not out. She scored 28 from 26. And Shemaine Campbell, she scored 16 from 13. And Alia Aline, she scored 15 from 8 balls, right? And the West Indies were able to pull out the victory in this one. So a huge shout out to the West Indies women team. And finally getting off the mark in their tour of Sri Lanka. Definitely happy for them. Definitely didn't want them to finish a series and finish a tour and not win any match at all. So with this victory, it means that they still have an opportunity to win the T20 series, with the third T20 coming up shortly as well. So a huge shout out to the West Indies women team, and hopefully they can win the third match and win the T20 series. Right. So moving on now to the West Indies men's team, right? They are out of the World Cup, obviously. But I'm going to be sharing the stats, you can say, right, as to how the performances of various players during the World Cup. So our leading run scorer and leading wicket taker as well, right? So starting with the batting, right? So our leading run scorer with the bat was Nicholas Pooran. He scored 228 runs from his 7 innings. So Nicholas Pooran batted in all 7 matches, and he scored 228 runs. And actually, he's up there. I think he's close to the top of the leaderboard in terms of run scores for the entire World Cup. So I know, even though us as West Indian fans, we we criticize Nicholas Pooran a lot because we expect a lot from him, and when he doesn't perform at times, we can be very critical of him, right? But he did have a good World Cup, you know. He was definitely in the top 5 in terms of runs scored. So a huge shout out to Nicholas Pooran. Second place in terms of runs scored for our team was Charles, right? So Charles scored 140 runs from his 6 innings. Um, I for a lot of people they say surprisingly, but the issue with Charles is not that he did have a few matches that he didn't score at all, but whenever he scored, the issue with him was that he just wasn't scoring fast enough. But like I said, you know, runs are runs, right? And once the runs are on the board, they are on the board, right? So a huge shout out to Charles as well on scoring 140 runs in the tournament and being the second highest run scorer in the team for the team, right? Because his runs definitely helped the team to win some of those matches and were very valuable. So whether you like how he scored, how fast he scored it or not, you still can't deny the fact that the runs were scored, and that's important for the team. Then you have a Sherfin Rutherford. Rutherford, he scored 121 runs. And I think he batted in. There are a few matches that Rutherford didn't bat in, right? So he might have had about like 5 or 6 innings to score 121 runs. Then we have Shai Hope. Shai Hope scored 107 runs from just 3 innings. We definitely will always remember that 80. I think it was 82 from 39 balls that he scored. That will always be in our memory as a brilliant innings coming into the team after being sitting out for so long. Then we have Captain Ravman Powell in 5th. He scored 102 runs from his 7 innings. We definitely would have loved if Ravman Powell would have scored more runs, but you know, such is the nature of the game. You know, he's the captain. We definitely expect a lot more from him, but it it didn't come off for him in this World Cup as much as we would have wanted it to. He did score 36 from, I think it was 16 balls against England, and he did have a few quick fire 25. I think he scored 25 from 17 and 25 from 13. So he did have a few cameos in the World Cup, which, you know, helped the team to win as well. But would have definitely liked him to score more often, more runs and more often in the matches. But nevertheless, you know, he scored 102 runs and he was among the top 5 leading run scorers for our team. Then we have Roston Chase. So Chase scored 94 runs from just 3 innings, right? So a huge shout out to Chase. He played 6 matches, but he only batted in 3 of them. And in those 3 matches, he scored 94 runs, including that brilliant half century that he had against South Africa to get us to a decent total. Still wasn't enough, but it was good batting by Chase in the World Cup, right? In terms of our bowlers now, Shamar Joseph led the way for us with 13 wickets from 7 matches. So brilliant bowling by Shamar. He was among the leading wicket takers in the tournament as well, with his 13 wickets. Then we have Andre Russell. He took 11 wickets as well. Then you have Akil Hussain. You know, he took 9 wickets. Gudakesh Motie took 8 wickets, and Roston Chase took 7 wickets as well. So those were the top 5 wicket takers for the West Indies in the T20 World Cup. You know, so a huge shout out to all of them. You know, all of them took wickets. You know, at some point. You know, all of them took more. Were on average took more than 1 wicket a game, or at least a wicket a match, right? Which in the T20 format, you know, is good. I will say though that, you know, going into the World Cup, you know, most people were saying that the bowling, you know, was the weakest point of this team, and the bowlers did step up, you know, and showed their class and performed well in this World Cup. You know, I would say apart from that England match where England, you know, chased down 117, like 17 overs, and it was really and truly it was just that 30 run over from Shepherd that which caused the match to even finish in that short time, right? So, you know, apart from that over that went for 30 runs, and I think Motie had an over that went for 20 runs against South Africa. the bowlers performed really well in this World Cup. I have to give them credit. So if you just look at the top 5 bowlers, right? Alzar with 13, Russell with 11, Akil Hussain with 9, Motie with 8, and Chase with 7 wickets, right? So that's what? That's 24, 33, 40, 41, 49 wickets, right? From the top 5 bowlers, taking 49 wickets in 7 matches, right? So that's an average of 7 wickets a game, right? In the T20 format, you cannot that's very good, that the team were able to average at least taking 7 wickets an innings, brilliant. So it just shows that the team, from a bowling standpoint, they did well. So I must give the bowlers a huge shout out. Like I said, they were underestimated coming in this team, myself included, saying that the bowling was the weakest part of this team. But if you don't know about the West Indies team, after watching this World Cup, you would definitely say that the bowling was the strongest part of this team, right? Based on how the batsmen performed. So a huge shout out to our bowlers. A huge shout out to Nicholas Pooran. He batted well. For the most part of the tournament, and even because in the early matches, he scored. So for example, he scored 27, and I think it was just his strike rate that we had an issue with, because we expect more of Nicholas Pooran. We know how talented he is, but overall, he batted well in the tournament. Would have definitely loved if he had scored more runs in that last match against South Africa. But such is the nature of cricket. Some matches you will score, some you won't. But overall, a brilliant batting performance by Nicholas Pooran. So now, in terms of the semifinals, just quickly. So the first semifinal comes up today with Afghanistan taking on South Africa. Personally, I have South Africa winning that match, but I would not be surprised if Afghanistan wins, right? And the reason I have South Africa winning is because the Afghanistan batting is a bit iffy, in my opinion. If their openers don't score runs or get them off to a good start, it is a possibility that they can collapse in the middle order and not get a lot of runs on the board. And I think that can be their downfall, but if the openers score runs and get a good total on the board for Afghanistan, then they're definitely dangerous, because their bowling attack is very potent, right? They have the top 2 leading wicket takers in the tournament in the form of Faruqi and Rashid Khan. So if they get runs on the board, they can be a very dangerous team, right? Because of their bowling attack. But I do think South Africa will win the match. South Africa, they have showed nerve. They have held their nerve in the World Cup so far, winning a lot of close matches. Finding a way to win. And I think that's very impressive of the South African team. So I have South Africa winning that semifinal. And in the semifinal between India and England, I guess you can call that one the clash of the Titans. I'm going to say England. And here's why. India, they are playing well. They are also unbeaten in the tournament. But India, India have a tendency of choking in the big matches. We've seen them do it over the years, looking good throughout the rounds until they get to the last stages of the tournament, and then they either collapse or just fail, right? So it's with that in mind why I'm picking England to win this match. Just that in India are chokers, I guess you can say. They normally choke in the big matches in recent years, right? So I have England winning that match. So it would be a South Africa England final for me. But definitely won't be surprised if either Afghanistan or India win the matches and advance to the finals as well. There are 4 good teams, and it should make for good cricket and exciting cricket in the semifinals and the finals. But definitely share in the comment section which teams do you think will advance. But that's all I have for you in this video. As always, thank you for tuning in. Do remember to like the video, comment on the video, share the video, and subscribe if you haven't done so as yet. Thank you, and I will see you in the next video.